Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Noelle and I do unboxings here, mostly lifestyle subscription boxes, but also some stationery, books, beauty, jewelry, and even a dash of Disney. So if you like unboxings, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell. And if you're already subscribed, thanks so much for being here again. I really appreciate you spending part of your day with me. I also really appreciate all of the likes, all of the comments, and those of you who are also following me over on Instagram. Today I've got one of my many book subscriptions to share with you. It is called Peace and Pages, and I like Peace and Pages for a couple of reasons. One is that they have two different tiered subscriptions. So the first one, which is what I do, is the basic subscription, and that is just $25.99 per month. Obviously, if you do a little bit of a longer subscription, you can bring that price down by a few dollars. And every time you get a box, you get a book in one of your selected genres that you select from a checklist in the beginning, as well as an aromatherapy product and a bath product. Now for $37.99 per month, you can get their deluxe box, which includes a book, as well as that aromatherapy product and bath product, and kind of a book-related accessory, book or reading-related accessory, as well as a snack or beverage, or both, so you really have that full reading experience. The other reason that I like Peace and Pages is because they offer both monthly subscriptions as well as bi-monthly subscriptions. And as someone who doesn't actually have a lot of time to read and who does get several book subscriptions, for me the bi-monthly option is the best because that ensures that I get to the books, I have some time to enjoy them, I don't have to feel like I'm kind of rushing through them or passing them on to someone before I get to them. So I do really appreciate that option. So far I've really loved both of the books that they have sent to me. The first one was kind of more of a thriller and I raced right through it. The second one is from my last box, which is called While the City Slept, and I'm not quite done with it. You can kind of see the tassel of my bookmark hanging there. But this was a true story, and it's kind of a true crime story, so we already know the actual crime that happened, but it's kind of from a journalistic perspective. So it really looks at the socioeconomic disparities, the lack of psychiatric facilities and resources in the city of Seattle, and kind of how all of those things contributed to this unfortunate event. And I really appreciate that because I do love true crime, but I realize that sometimes it's a little strange, that kind of sensationalist, like voyeuristic viewpoint. So I like that this is kind of taking the time to really understand the perspective and the situation of everyone involved, and it really like humanizes not necessarily the perpetrator, but really gives a little bit more time and attention to the victims. So they're not just the person that was killed, but a real person that you get to know in this book. So I really enjoyed it. So let's see what we've got for this month. Sorry about all of that, you guys. Hopefully you fast forwarded through that if that was boring to you. Nice bright box. In the past, the box has been a really bright blue, so this time it was this super bright green. And then inside, we've just got a sheet of cardboard kind of keeping everything in place. I should add that the costs that I told you, that $25.99 and $37.99, do not include the shipping. The shipping, I believe, is around $7, so do keep that in mind. Got some foozles in here, as well as some more cardboard, kind of keeping everything in place. But when it is aromatherapy and bath products, a lot of times there is a lot of weight to it, so I understand the shipping costs. And then they just do a super duper simple product sheet, but it tells you what they are. It's usually by small businesses here in the US, so I do love that aspect of the companies that they feature. This is the Let It Be June 2020 Basic Edition. So it says, in addition to this month's book, I'm going to tell you what I got. So it is kind of cool though that because you just select different genres, they will find a book for you, and they do promise that it's like a well-rated book, so they're not just finding random remainders and having no idea what it's about. But like I said, I have been pretty happy with the books that I've gotten so far. So the first thing I am seeing is some bubble bath sand. So if you guys have been watching my channel for any time, you know I'm not a bath girl. So when we get bath bombs and bath salts and all that kind of stuff, I usually just pass them on to someone else, a friend, or put them in some giveaways. But this is a nice hefty jar of some, I guess it's like to suds up your bath, and you can kind of see it's almost like sand art. So there's a couple different bands of that kind of cream color and yellow color. It almost makes me think of a bumblebee with the black cap on it, and it does say that it is in Honey Days, if you didn't see that. So it says this is from Soaring Suds Soap Co. Michigan, and that's pretty cool. So it just says to add 2 to 4 tablespoons to warm bath water. It does have Epsom salt and Dead Sea salt in it, and so I guess it just kind of creates a bubble bath for you. So that sounds kind of cool. I would assume that it creates bubbles since it's called Soaring Suds. So there's that, but I will be passing that on to someone else. And then we also have, in the like sort of bee theme, I guess, because we've got the Honey Days, then we also have Once Upon a Hive natural hand-poured natural beeswax melts. So I finally have a nice wax warmer from my Good Vibes Scribe box a couple months ago. So we got some wax melts, and they have that nice honey color. And then it's right here on the front is the label with some bees. So that's kind of a cute like springy theme to have bee and honey scented things. And this is from Once Upon a Hive in, I think it said Estes Park, Colorado. Yes. So you just use these, and you can do like 1 or 2 at a time depending on the size of your warmer, and you put them in there. Let me see if I can actually smell them. So it actually smells like honey, so that's kind of fun. Very like light scent. I don't know like how strong it would be, but that seems like a nice kind of warm scent to have in your home, not super overwhelming, which I actually kind of prefer. And then let's see what book we've got. So there's lots of kind of extra foozles and stuff in here. This is a nice hefty paperback. It does have the remainder mark on the bottom, so we know that they're not getting it necessarily for the retail price, which I understand. And this is called The Lost Queen by Signa Pike. I'm not sure how to say her name, but I'm getting some like Brave Merida vibes here. You can see the cover. And it does say this was on the New York Public Library Best Books of 2018 list. And then I'll just read to you. So it is out of Scotland, so it kind of looks very like fantasy, right, with these like swords and stuff, which is not necessarily like one of the genres that I go for. I do like historical fiction, but let's see what it says. It says The Myths of Avalon for a New Generation. Introducing Langareth, a forgotten queen of 6th century Scotland. So funny, I like got a book about like Scots in my vintage dress for less isolation box too. So I feel like the world is kind of telling me to look into Scottish history. The sister of the man who inspired the legend of Merlin. Oh, okay. So maybe it is based on an actual human. In a land of mountains and mist, tradition and superstition, Langareth and her twin brother, Lailakin, are raised in the old way of their ancestors, but the rise of a new religion heralds an era of disruption, bloodshed, and riot. When conflict brings the hero, Emiris Pendragon, to her family's door, Langareth finds love with one of his warriors. Her deep connection to Malgwyn is forged by enchantment, but she is promised in marriage to the son of a Christian king. Together with her brother, a warrior and druid known to history as Myrddin, Langareth must fight for the preservation of the old way and the survival of her kingdom, or risk the loss of both forever. Intensely absorbing from the first page to the last, The Lost Queen will take you to a distant time, rescuing a passionate and brave woman from obscurity and reclaiming her place in one of the most enduring legends of all time. So I can definitely get into some like Myths of Avalon vibe, especially if it is in fact based on some real Celtic history. So I will have to like Wikipedia that, and hopefully they have some pronunciation. They do, like the first few pages, you guys, is all pronunciations of these names. So that will definitely be helpful, but it does look like it's got a lot of those like lineages and genealogies like Game of Thrones, where it's a little bit confusing to keep up with who's who and what house they're in. And it has like the House of Morkin and the House of Tutqual. So I'm gonna have to take some time to read this, because this seems like one of those things where you can't necessarily put the book down and come back to it later on. Like you need to read this in a couple of days, or at least within a week, otherwise you'll get really, really lost. So it is kind of cool that it is related to the legend of Merlin. So, and I'm not even sure if Merlin was like based on a real person, you know, like a legend that's just grown over time, but we'll have to read about it, and it sounds interesting. So it sounds like she's very well versed in Celtic history. There's a nice long note from the author here in the back. So I'm looking forward to that. I could use a little bit of fantasy just because, like I said in so many other videos, I have been kind of immersing myself in a lot of true crime, which is not always the best for your psyche. So maybe something about a brave woman back in history might be an interesting change of pace for me. Let me know what you guys think. If any of you have read The Lost Queen, please let me know in the comments below. And hopefully I will see you all very, very soon in my next unboxing.